What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kaylina and this is the Magic Society, and today we're talking everything Taurus. So let's get started. Okay, so today's going to be a bit of a hefty video, as with any kind of astrology usually is. As I've been talking about in the last couple videos, I'm reading The Body Astrology by Claire Gallagher. Shown this a couple times. So if you're tuning back in, this is going to be another segment of that. I think what I'm going to start doing is, because as I was getting into this, I realized I kind of wanted to do the entirety of Taurus, like everything Taurus related, and not just from the stuff that I read from this book, but just a whole compilation of Taurus. And even if you're not a Taurus, Taurus is still going to show up somewhere within your chart, you know, because all the planets, all the zodiacs are represented at some point somewhere. So, and even if you're not a Taurus, you may have people that you know who are Tauruses, and this may be a good comprehensive guide as to what makes Taurus a Taurus. So I know my mom is a Taurus, and so learning about even more in depth about kind of everything that goes into a deep dive of Taurus, so to speak. So that is what we're going to do today. I am probably going to try to incorporate some pictures and images and stuff to make this video a little bit more exciting. Otherwise it's literally going to be me sitting here reading off my notes, because astrology is very in-depth, and yeah, otherwise you might want to just put me on behind, you know, you going to bed and trying to get some sleep, because I might sound like I'm droning on forever and ever and ever. Yeah. Okay. So, so quick story for you today. You know, usually I love being a massage therapist, absolutely adore it. Today was not one of those days. My one client, so I didn't understand it at the time, like why she was getting so like kind of worked up over this, but she was like, she warned me previously before I even started the massage, hey, I've got really bad allergies right now. I took an allergy pill, but I just want to let you know that I'm not sick. I'm just sniffling from allergies. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. You can hear my voice right now. It sounds a little bit tuned down than normal because I'm stuffed up right now. But I was literally flipping her over to the other side, and she's like, I need a Kleenex. Like, she like panicked, and she's like, I need a Kleenex. I'm like, okay, but she was mid-flip. So I was like, okay, well, I'll finish flipping you over here, and then I'll get you a Kleenex. And so then got her a Kleenex, and then I looked down on the floor, and I mean, I know the hotel was haunted, but it literally, there was a splat of nose saliva boogers on the floor, which was absolutely disgusting. And so I was like, oh, look, it's the little green booger monster from, you know, Ghostbusters, and it's on the floor. So I was like, that's disgusting. Didn't realize I was running a daycare center, having to clean up boogie noses, and that kind of stuff like really grosses me out. I would rather handle blood 10 times over other bodily fluids like boogers on the floor. Ugh. And so, and then it always just shocks me. It shocks me how often people, I mean, I understand, yes, you have to blow your nose or whatever. I get it. Okay. But then like at the end of a massage, nobody picks up like their dirty Kleenex or anything. They expect us to pick it up. I'm like, that is your human bodily fluid. The least you could do is pick up the damn Kleenex and not leave it on the table or leave it on the counter or leave it on the floor so that I have to pick it up, you know? And so I literally like had to take a towel and wipe up the booger mess that was on the floor. I was just like, I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. I'm like, but really. Anywho, that was my story for today. Let's move on to earth bodies. So she splits up the sections of the different zodiacs into like what they are: earth, fire, air, water signs. And so I'm going to talk about the earth bodies. This will be the last time I talk about the earth bodies. Even if I like talk about the other earth signs, just because you don't need to hear it again and again and again. So, but each sign has kind of a purpose that they bring to, that they share. And so earth bodies are all about, creating a solid place for us to build our life, and it supports, shelters, as well as feeds us. So that's kind of what they're all about. These signs oversee all the heart structures that keep us upright, they protect us, and give our flesh some sort of shape. It allows us to receive nourishment from our food. Earth gives the body a strength, structure, stamina, and nutrition. Earth bodies thrive and Earth bodies feel and thrive most when they are safe and secure, which, yeah, I definitely see that very much with earth bodies of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. We like to have things kind of under control. We like to know what's going on. Doesn't mean we're, so stiff and within our like regiment, but we do kind of like to have a general idea of what we're doing in life. So caring for an earth body is very practical and rhythmic. We are highly attuned to the physical plane and often need to reconnect through complete embodiment via the senses, as well as making and crafting. One of Earth's superpowers is manifestation. Wealth and abundance, as well as fertility, are also essential Earth concepts, which I'm all for, because the more abundance in my life, I won't say no. I will take anything I can get. Earth bodies thrive by cultivating a deep sense of self-worth and value. It is highly healing and nourishing for earth bodies to interact with abundance, money, physical objects, and resources without shame. So yeah, I mean, if you want to stick me in a bubble with one of those, air things where they blow the money all over the place, I would be 100% okay with that. Let me touch it. Let me have the money. I'm totally alright with that. I mean, that's not to say I'm not, money isn't everything on this green earth, but it does help. Not gonna deny that. So earth decreasing foods would be things such as fresh herbs, parsley, rosemary, sage, tarragon, thyme, fresh lemon and lime juice, leaner forms of protein, lightly cooked steamed food, low carbohydrate vegetables like asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, dark leafy greens, and zucchini. Warming spices, allspice, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, cumin, mace, nutmeg, anise, and turmeric. And yeah, I agree with that. Even for, well, we're just on earth bodies in general, not specific to Taurus at the moment, but yeah, if those really warming spices, I feel like I've learned a lot in this book, because like when your earth body is like low versus when it's high, and you eat one of these, then yeah, all of a sudden, even if it's like a healthier food, sometimes it can make you feel kind of just off. And that could very well be because you actually need more of your said energy versus decreasing it. So like the cinnamons and the turmerics, and I actually have a hard time with those a lot of the time, which means that I probably actually need to up my earth body stuff versus lowering it. But that's just the stage that my body's in currently. And we're currently like doing a complete like fresh food, more whole food-ish diet as of right now. And it's an adjustment. I mean, it's all really good and like healthy for me, but I think my body is just kind of in a lag right now, because it's like, oh, you're all of a sudden feeding me food that my body actually wants. Like how are we digesting this in the body right now? So I actually like napped for way too long today, and it's almost 9 o'clock right now when I'm filming this because I literally napped from like 3 to 8 o'clock. So don't really recommend that because I am going to have a terrible time sleeping tonight because I slept for like 6 hours this afternoon. Circadian rhythm is a little off right now. Alright, so earth increasing foods are things such as broth, soups, and stews, collagen, dairy, denser forms of protein such as red meat, fattier cuts, natural sugars such as honey, dates, maple syrup, non-hydrogenated fats, and oils like avocado, coconut, flaxseed, and olive roots, squashes, tubers, salt, simple, well-cooked food, soaked or sprouted grains like legumes, nuts, and seeds. So, yeah. Things that may irritate or disturb earth elements is or non-sweeteners and sugars, alcohol such as agave, aspartame, high fructose corn syrup. That one I can definitely attest to. Corn syrup, anytime I have that, my stomach's just like, what the fuck did you give me? Stevia and sucralose. Commercial corn, excessively fatty animal protein, gluten containing grains and large amounts of hot herbs and spices, excess garlic, excess ginger, horseradish, hot curry blends, hot paprika, hot peppers, and chilies, as well as raw vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, and kale. This is so incredibly accurate for me being a Virgo. I'm gluten intolerant. Corn does not like me. It is not my friend. If I have too much like garlicky stuff or yeah, like the peppers and the chilies, nope, can't do that either. And yeah, there was a time when I really loved making like broccoli cheddar soup and stuff like that, and I was even trying to add some kale into my diet just because it is like a superfood and it is really good for you. But my body hated it. Absolutely would not digest it. And I was like, but these are healthy foods. Why am I not tolerant of these items? And so yeah, this was very, very accurate to me at least. I mean, and obviously just because you fit into one of these categories doesn't necessarily mean everything is going to fit 100%, but I have found so far reading that even like the certain conditions of Taurus matched up perfectly with my mom. I mean, literally perfectly. So for the people that like poo-poo on this kind of stuff, like, don't knock it until you start doing some research of your own and start kind of reading what falls under each category, because there's some truth to this madness. So don't totally discount it. Okay, so let's start getting into actual Taurus and what it is to be a Taurus. Since we are in Taurus season for just a wee bit longer. So date for Taurus is April 21st through May 21st. They tend to be more negatively charged, which isn't like meaning like, oh, they're more of a negative person. It simply means that negative charged people tend to be more introverted. They're a little bit more low-key. They focus on more of an interior experience in life versus like an exterior. It's a fixed sign, so it is very stable and persistent and slightly resistant to change, and good at holding and consolidating, and they're very steadfast. It's divided into two major categories: the things that allow us to interact with pleasure, beauty, and physical world, and rhythmic structures that create steadiness and regularity in the body. So Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is obviously like the planet of love, pleasure, sensuality, love, and sweetness. Taurus rules the following parts of the body: the occiput, which is the very, very back of the head, right where the neck kind of connects with the skull. That area, especially I see in massage therapy, that area gets incredibly tight, which can cause headaches and neck pain. And so, yeah. The cerebellum, which is part of your brain, I believe. Where is the cerebellum? It's in the brain, but I can't remember what cortex. I think it's more towards the back as well, but don't quote me on that because it's been a while since I've done classes like that. Ears, which my mom has ear issues. Jaw, she has jaw issues, TMJ. Tongue, lower teeth, cervical vertebrae, neck, and upper trapezius, which that's all like up in here as well as all in here. She's got that stuff. Throat and vocal cords, she's got that. Thyroid, she's got that. And some of the other senses. So Taurus nutrition. Gesture equals pleasure in this case. Taurus is all about regular body rhythms and steady energy circulation, but they also need plenty of room for pleasure and satisfaction within eating. It's extremely constructive and unstoppable to keep Taurus moving, focus on balancing blood sugar, increasing fiber consumption, and nourishing the metabolism. So with Taurus, it can sometimes maybe be a little hard to get them to start some kind of like exercise program, but once they get started, they almost become like, it becomes like this habit that they have to do. So just as hard as it is to start them, it's hard to stop them too. And sometimes they can get a little bit too like regimented and like controlling in their like exercise regimens, which isn't always good. So Venus rules over like the sugar and like starches and carbohydrates, so it's not uncommon for Taurus to have a wee bit of a sweet tooth. Taurus may find it feels more stable consuming high amounts of protein and fat in comparison to carbs. When it comes to carbs, the sign may have significant effects on the body and mood, whether pleasant or unpleasant, so just kind of pay attention to that. It's not to say that carbs are like absolutely horrible and bad. I know that they kind of get a really bad rep in, you know, the nutritional world, but there are good carbs. So you can't completely cut carbs from your entire existence. Like it's just not good. Some healthy carbs would include sweet potatoes, winter squash, and legume-based pastas. And as far as like sweet treat options, go for sweeteners such as honey, maple syrup, molasses, or fruit. Kind of more like the natural sweeteners versus like the stevias and all that stuff. That's really not great for you. A good tip is to use farm fresh and local ingredients as much as possible, and don't fear fat bearing. And as far as like food allergies, using like real butter, real cheese, real sugar, yes, real sugar, like use real stuff and like real fats, which I know at least in my mom's case, you know, there is a little bit of hesitancy towards like too much fat, like especially having thyroid problems, like hypothyroidism most of the time. That's can be a real concern. I can't speak for every Taurus out there, but I definitely saw a lot of things that matched very much with my mom and this stuff I was reading. Yeah, whole eggs satisfies Taurus and often keeps it from indulging elsewhere. And I mean, I recommend that for anybody as far as like natural, actual whole foods of going to the farmer's market. I mean, I'm pretty sure most towns probably have some kind of local farmer's market, especially around this time of the year. And I've been enjoying mine the last couple weeks, and it just makes such a big difference. It really, really does. So for Taurus, it's important to like slow down and actually enjoy the food eating process. Like, and Taurus is all about kind of just natural things that make things beautiful. So nice table settings, drinking out of the cutest mug in the morning. Like these things, these little details make Taurus really happy. So chew slowly and completely, but because it's common for Taurus to have difficulty chewing because of like jaw and TMJ, you also want to make sure that you're addressing that pain as well. Like what's causing that pain, anything you can do to kind of negate that so that your jaw and face don't hurt all the time. And sometimes that can also be connected with a certain emotion that you're feeling at the time too. Stress, obviously, like people don't realize how often when they're stressed, it can show up in like their jaw and like in their occiput area, like we just tense up and our muscles shorten, and so then you're not getting enough flow and things are too tight and then they hurt. And always pay attention to when your body is hurting, because it's trying to tell you something. So they can have some digestive issues. They may feel like their digestion is a bit slow or retentive. Smaller meals throughout the day might be incredibly helpful. Make sure you're getting enough calories throughout the day too. I feel like that is a really important one. Fiber is helpful for the sign. Good sources are vegetables and beans. Hot lemon water, herbal tea broth, or other warm beverages. I actually read fairly recently that like cold beverages are actually not like super great for digestion. The warmer stuff tends to help things flow a little bit better through the body. So different thyroid issues, like I mentioned before, is a problem for Taurus. Slow metabolism, which is hypothyroidism, so you could get fatigue, constipation. If you need better support, try increasing your iodine and zinc and selenium containing foods such as seaweed, fish, eggs, and Brazil nuts. Reducing foods high in goitrogens may also be necessary for a time. And common goitrogen foods are cassava, cruciferous vegetables, soy, strawberries, and sweet potato. Next, we're gonna hop into like different movement for Taurus. What works good is slow, steady, done over a long distance or period of time, slowly accumulating warmth. There's also something called NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that may sound super complicated, but really it's not. It just means that you're doing things to kind of increase exercise throughout the day with things that you already do. So for instance, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking a little bit farther away from the supermarket and walking to the door, like having a standing desk, all these things that you can naturally kind of build into your day that is going to be beneficial to you, but that you maybe won't necessarily like notice it, or that it's like this hardcore workout. Taurus is kind of all about building lean muscle mass. This form of muscle uses more energy even at rest than any other like forms. Do more strength work than cardio. She said like a 3 to like 1 ratio of doing more strength versus cardio work. Regularity is definitely key for Taurus success. Once they get on a kind of routine, they are pretty good about sticking to it. And then you can also, if you want a bit of a challenge, maybe add some resistance bands to your routine. Other things are like long, slow distance running, taking your runs outside. Yoga is all about long posture holds. Challenge by extending, standing, and balancing poses. Do stretching and self-massage, which, hey, I will always support self-massage. It doesn't matter what zodiac sign you are. I feel like massages, I'm always going to be down for that. People don't realize like how helpful that actually is for your body. And honestly, any kind of self-care just in general needs to happen more for people in their lives, you know. And then take particular care of your shoulders, neck, jaw, and occiput, because those areas tend to get the tightest. So other activities could include axe throwing, cross-country running, cross-country skiing, hiking, mud runs, powerlifting, power walking, rucking, strongman training competitions, and yard work. Which I was kind of surprised to see some of that stuff, because like if you met my mom, she would not be into any of that, like any of that at all. But she is literally right on the cusp of barely being a Taurus and being more of a Gemini, I believe. I think Gemini comes after that. Yeah, because we're getting ready to go into Gemini. Yes. So, and I haven't quite gotten to the Gemini section yet, because I think that's an air sign. Or no, it's not a water sign. Oh my goodness, my brain. No, I did read Gemini. I think that is an air sign. Anywho, my brain. So, yeah, and I believe Geminis were more flowy in their movements, not quite so hardcore. Like, my mother would never go on a mud run. Like, she's not a big runner. Like, so maybe if you're more pure Taurus, that's you, but I think as far as movement goes, my mom is definitely more on like the Gemini side of things. So different Taurus conditions, like what they're maybe more prone to get. It has problems with becoming like blocked. Their energy can become blocked because they often go through the world in a very steady, solid, and sometimes unchanging kind of way. Like they like their routine, and it's maybe sometimes hard for them to switch gears. They will communicate and balance through stagnant physical and mental states or an inability to create steadiness in the body. So that's kind of what happens when they kind of lose balance in their life. Things become too stagnant and energy just doesn't flow quite as well. They love to accumulate and hold on to things, even if their behaviors become toxic and self-sabotaging over time. They tend to like hold on to pain and even like grudges or any form of psychological gripping and grasping that prevents the body's energy from circulating freely. Other conditions include blood sugar problems, which I did find throughout this book. Blood sugar seems to be a constant thing for a lot of different zodiac signs, and you don't realize like how important blood sugar maintenance is. The whole sugar thing can really throw off your body for a lot of different reasons if your blood sugar is off. And so I'd really just say all zodiac signs probably tend to kind of need to watch that, just some maybe more than others. So Taurus can also face constipation, earache and ear infection, emotional repression, fatigue accompanied by feelings of body heaviness, neck pain, sinus congestion, infection, sore throat, tonsillitis, and voice loss, TMJ, which is that jaw condition, thyroid conditions, and toothache. So, and just because you're a Taurus doesn't mean you're going to face all of these in your lifetime. These are just things that supposedly Taurians come about a little bit more naturally than maybe other signs. And every single sign has different conditions that kind of rule over them because they are associated with different parts of the body. So they can develop restrictive thought or behavior patterns, like what we see in orthorexia or exercise obsession. It's a behavioral loop where consumption has become compulsive. When this happens, the sign is usually in a state of disembodiment satisfaction, and it happens when we fully experience something, and full experience requires presence and embodiment. So making sure that you're allowing yourself to feel your feelings and work through things appropriately, because otherwise these obsessive behaviors kind of take place. The real underlying problem behind resistance and stagnation is often that Taurus feels unsupported in some area of their life and that it cannot trust its body, and it may need to work on the concept of self-worth. And oh my goodness, this could sometimes definitely be true in the case of my mom. Like she tries to do everything for everyone, but sometimes it's like she forgets that she's also important to take care of. So, and yeah, self-worth, of just being very self-conscious about certain things and not, just embracing who she is and knowing that she's a lovely human being. So I definitely see that sometimes in her. But also like experiences from your past and your life, and it's amazing what things the body holds on to even from a young age, or experience that you had when you were young that causes you to feel a certain way into adulthood. So also, I recommend maybe therapy stuff for any zodiac signs, anybody, because we do hold on to things from when we were young that we're still holding on to, and we may not even realize it, and it's preventing us from moving forward in a more healthy way, energetically at least. So other planets in Taurus. So this section goes over each planet and kind of what you see when your certain planet is in Taurus. I believe mine's in Mercury. I think, yeah. So Mercury, you may need help staying clear and alert. Start the day with protein and fat. That's kind of like a important priority. And it tends to be sensitive to caffeine, which would definitely be the case for me. Longer breaks or gentle walks between meals may help cognitive function. Slow and deliberate mover. And regular break-up, slow, steady movement with a little bit of speed work. So having kind of a balance. And then just in general, having Mercury in Taurus, they are always prepared, they're practical, they're constructive, they have a bit of rigidness, they're sure their opinions are always right, excellent memory, good observer, good listener, even if they won't change their mind, tendency to repeat yourself at times, sociable, attractiveness, shy with strangers, knack for money, eye for beauty and value, and successful in art or antique dealers. Then you have Venus in Taurus, which Venus is obviously rules over Taurus, so they're very comfortable here. But they can be more prone to insulin resistance and hypothyroidism, which means slow thyroid, may be disinterested in exercise or may find that its tolerance for more intense exercise is low, connects with nature, beauty, or sensuality, is very nourishing for the soul. They tend to be romantic, affectionate. They don't give their love too quickly. They're generous to their lovers. Sex must be involved some way. Love can be a bit more smothering at times, very physical and earthly love nature. So Mars in Taurus stays away from extremes and adopts a consistent, steady approach. Incredibly stubborn at times and may do things long after it stops supporting them. They can have sluggish energy levels and stagnation, neck pain. Be sure to focus on upper body by focusing on pulling movements even more so than like pushing movements. Longer warm-ups and punctuating strength work with quick movement bursts are wise. And then just in general for a Mars and Taurus, they're slow, steady force that drives you to success. They have money, material items, and true love, sexual pursuits, earthly, voluptuous. Won't see anyone else's point of view. Tenacity can create anything you envision. They can face depression, a bit of a temper, and can be a big spender. Jupiter in Taurus, they're prone to accumulate. Okay, I don't even know what word I was trying to say there, but they can be prone to constipation, goiter, or insulin resistance. Pay attention to how different carbohydrate-rich foods make you feel both physically and mentally. And this Jupiter in this particular placement can be really strong. Just in general, Jupiter in Taurus brings abundance, conservative with money. You will spend on luxuries for yourself, though. Successful in writing, interior decorating, and art collecting. They tend to marry pretty well. Luckiest times are when Sun is in Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, which are all of the earth signs. Saturn in Taurus may shy away from indulging the senses, instead indulge fearful thoughts or attachments to strict eating patterns, which not a good thing. May have a fear of food and strong internal resistance to self-nourishment. Increase your fiber content. May experience chronic pain in the neck, occiput, and upper shoulders. Can become a real powerhouse though. Prone to stagnation, so mobility and flexibility is a definite must. Not always the easiest financially speaking, just in general for Jupiter and Taurus. They spend a lot of time trying to save, usually become comfortable later in life, susceptible to colds, sore throats, and thyroid problems. Uranus in Taurus, if aggravated tooth pain or facial neuralgia make getting enough nutrition very difficult. They may have swings between like extremes, whether in the thyroid or other like Taurus areas. They have food sensitivities such as gluten, eggs, sugar, or dairy. They can have a knack for explosive strength. In general, they're very strong when it shows up in Taurus. Willpower and determination, have a need to build things, to be constructive, to achieve. Blessed with financial luck in their life. Bring a sudden find, some kind of new thing into their life. And they love bright colors and vivid patterns. So Neptune in Taurus, this is where hyperthyroidism actually comes into place. Lack of nutrients needed for proper thyroid function include iodine, selenium, and zinc, as I mentioned before. Preferred movement that is sensual and just beautiful in nature. Awareness for what really matters in life, attracted to spiritual and artistic quests, as well as they tend to have psychic ability. Make profit or practical use of their interest in mysticism, love, and marriage. Brings happiness and inner wisdom. Danger of financial loss through deception or fraud. And then other stuff just in general about Taurus is in the sun. If your sun sign is Taurus, it means you have purpose, vitality, creative power, heart of our being, inner authority, shining light, self-development, central goals, pride, and self-confidence. That's everything that the sun represents. So those are going to be areas that your Taurus is in. So sun specifically in Taurus is creative gifts, revolves around the relationship you make with the physical world. So create something that's enduring. If you're a Taurus woman, you're going to be very secure and stable, a lady for a lifetime, not casual in your love, slightly old-fashioned, there's nothing wrong with that. Devoted, nurtures, gives like her strength to other people, very open and generous. She'll give her all but also take it all as well. Not one to bargain hunt, likes to be courted, plans ahead, detail-oriented, secure, sense of her own judgment, tends to be very sexy, artistic, and elegant. She's got good taste and has a good nature about her. A Taurus man won't exactly sweep you off your feet, but he's very sensible and down to earth. He's deliberate. He's definitely in it for long-term commitment. Stable and security, obviously, as well. Patient, sensitive, can be very romantic in his own way. Generous, but not frivolous. Passionate, highly physical in nature, especially when it comes to the sex area of life. Simple and direct, sensual, strong-willed, sensible, loyal, affectionate, kind, faithful, understated sense of humor. Then you've got Moon in Taurus, which means you would be more trustworthy, determined, warm, affectionate, artistic, possessive, rigid, potentially overcautious, and can kind of be more of a slave to just routine in general. Studies and strengthens the moon's changeable, erratic influence, which is a good thing because the moon can really bring out your emotions. Brings out the quiet and reflective qualities of the moon. Don't form opinions quick and are not impressionable. You're resourceful. Least emotional problems because they are practical and have a positive outlook. They tend to be very methodical, patient, responsible, distinctive style of dress, enjoy serene surroundings, and don't like large parties or noisy groups. Next is if you have your ascendant in Taurus, you're going to be steadfast, calm, easygoing, charming, social manner, strongly artistic, flair for writing, decorating, or composing music. You don't push your opinions on others. Once you've made up your mind, you rarely change it. You can be a bit stubborn, set in your ways. You do work hard, persistent until something is successful, and you can be a wee bit vain. So then you have like your houses, which that goes even more in depth. And so Taurus naturally rules over the second house of possessions, but also look to see where it shows up in your chart because it's could be a little bit different for everybody. So as far as houses go, like I really like the reference in The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need by Joanna Martine Wolffolk. This book is like the second astrology book I've ever like read. The other book is a bit more of a beginner book, I would say. I mean, it's got good detail. Well, actually, I mean, it's got good information in it, but it's not like overly detailed. So if you're wanting to start somewhere, The Astrology Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life by Carl Taylor. This book, this is a good just like jumping off point. It's gonna get you into the houses, the zodiac signs, how to read your chart, all that kind of good stuff, but it's not like you're drowning in information because astrology can be very overwhelming very quickly. This book, The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need, definitely goes into more detail on stuff. It really covers like everything. Like it does not shy away from talking about the more in-depth stuff of astrology. And then I also got, which was a recommendation by Ivy the Occultist, actually. This one is out of print now, so if you find it, it's going to, odds are, be kind of expensive, so wouldn't necessarily, like, say that you have to get this one. And I've barely began skimming through this one, and it's so funny because you can tell, like, this one was written in a much, like, older time period. And it's Astrology, the Divine Science by Marcia Moore and Mark Douglas. And that's what this book looks like. Now, I was lucky enough to get this for $50, but I've seen it way higher, because it is just all of a sudden out of print. So yeah, I wish I could find some way to make this more accessible for other people, because this book is absolutely huge. So I'm sure it goes into lots of detail as well. I mean, to be honest though, I mean, if you can find a really good astrology book, you don't need like 5,000 astrology books. I personally love to read all the stuff on astrology, but it's not a have to. So the last thing I kind of wanted to go over was some of the houses and what they mean when they show up in Venus. So, because Venus rules over Taurus. So that's kind of what you would want to look at. And so my Venus shows up in the 5th and 6th houses, I believe. And so I'm just going to go over a quick reminder of like what each house is and then read what it is for Taurus. Like I said, this comes out of the only astrology book you'll ever need by Joanna Martine Woolfolk. And I definitely recommend this book. It's got a lot of great information in it, and it goes in depth, as I mentioned before. So, like, your first house is all about the house of self. So when this shows up in Venus, you are affectionate, flirtatious, and usually quite good looking. You have charming social manners and like to have a companionship. Your appearance is important to you, and you tend to spend too much money on yourself. Your good points are sympathetic, artistic, a cheerful personality. Bad points are lazy, narcissistic, too fond of pleasure and luxury. And remember, like, good, bad, whatever, we're all going through this life and learning different things, so every part of your zodiac is going to have a good side and maybe a side that you're working on. So definitely don't take any of this stuff like too personally. I know, like, for my mom, for instance, she doesn't like the side of it where, you know, they say Taurus likes possessions. They like to have this beautiful lifestyle, and they love to embrace pretty things in their life. And I think she sometimes feels like that's like a diss to her, but it's like, no, it's just, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting some things in your life, you know, despite what some religions say, where you have to abandon everything to be happy. Like, and to reach enlightenment, I don't necessarily find that true. You know, it's okay to want some things in life. It's okay to enjoy the beauty of things. There's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, it's just anything in excess, you know, can maybe be something to work on. So, and yeah, laziness. I know sometimes Taurus can get a bad rap for that too, but like, if there's something that they want and something that they really have passion for, they're not going to be lazy with it, you know. Sometimes laziness isn't a bad thing. It just means that you're able to say no to some things, you know, and that you're able to actually enjoy and relax at times, which people need to learn the balance of that, because so often society has just taught us that we always have to be going, we always have to be doing something, we always have to say yes to everything, and that's just not the case. It's really not healthy for you to do that all the time. So your second house is house of possessions. So your Venus in this is you tend to prosper through social connections, marriage, or artistic pursuits. Business ventures with a partner are lucrative. You like to spend on clothes, jewels, personal adornment, and pleasures. If you're a man, you tend to spend money on women. Good points are generous, fair, and honest in financial dealings, an ability to use beautiful things profitably, fashion, decorating, art gallery, etc. Bad points extravagance, love of luxury and expensive possessions, inadequate willpower. So your third house rules over communication. So Venus, you're artistic, you have an innate sense of taste and design and win attention for your ideas in a way that people find charming. Your social life may involve taking a number of trips. Love may come about because of travel or through correspondence. Good points, cheerful, creative, eloquent in both speech and writing. Bad points, mentally lazy, superficial, and too swayed by emotion. Your fourth house rules over the home and also of the early and latter parts of life. I feel like if Taurus were to have like a second house, this would probably be the one, because Tauruses are natural born, like, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but they are kind of naturally born housewives. Like they are so good with ruling the home and family, and just they have a lot of love to give, and so they feel it's very natural for them, I feel like. So in Venus, your home is usually your showplace, and you like to surround yourself with beautiful things. You tend to have happy memories of childhood and are probably attached to your mother. Circumstances at the end of your life promise to be peaceful. Good point, you promote harmony in domestic relationships. Bad point, you're extravagant in buying possessions for your home. Fifth house is all about the house of creativity and sex. So Venus is probably going to feel okay here too. You like social life and being in the spotlight. You attract romance and usually have many lovers. You take pleasure in creative work and are affectionate with children. Your good points, you have the talent to succeed in the artistic and entertainment world. Your bad points, self-indulgence and overly fond of applause. So I guess I said mine was in the fifth house, didn't I? Well, I would love to be more in like the entertainment business. I really would. If I didn't live in Kansas City, that would have been a super fun career to go down. Of course, it's very competitive, and I hate to say this, but like, if you're in the acting business, there is a certain physique that you are supposed to have kind of at all times, and my body does not hold up to that end. It just does not. I'm trying to be healthier more for myself, but I mean, you gotta give actors and actresses credit. They have to be on top of nutrition and exercise, and like that is not easy to keep up with. So I do admire them greatly for just they have very strong willpower, and just the long hours of filming, and I love watching movies and TV, and like it seems like that would be such a fun realm to be in, but at the same time it's a lot of hard work. So anywho, sixth house is the house of service and of health. So Venus, you strive for harmony and good relationships with associates on the job. You don't like hard or gritty physical labor. Health is good, though you tend to overindulge in eating and drinking. Good points, work situation may bring romance. Bad point, tendency to laziness and letting others do the chores. I don't know. Maybe sometimes. Maybe sometimes. I don't know. I shouldn't find romance at work, though. Being a massage therapist, like, that's kind of a no-go. You're kind of told at school, you know, if you find somebody, you, like, can't be their massage therapist anymore, because that's, like, that's kind of a frowned upon thing. So, and I love my coworkers, but there's nobody that I'd be like, yes, marriage material. So they probably feel the same way about me. Seventh house is all about house of marriage and partnership. So Venus, you look for harmony and fulfillment in both marriage and partners. You're affectionate, romantic, and popular with the opposite sex. At some point in your life, you're likely to gain prestige or financial benefit through a mate or partner. You tend to marry early and possibly more than once. Good points are a natural peacekeeper. Bad points, resentful, and others do not make the first move towards you. 8th house is the house of death and regeneration, and also of legacies. So Venus, you are intense about sexual involvements and look for fulfillment in them. You are likely to inherit money from a loved one or a marriage partner, or to gain from the career advancement of someone who loves you. Circumstances surrounding your death promise to be peaceful. Good point. Sexual relationships tend to be harmonious. Bad point. Laxness and reluctance to handle responsibilities. 9th house rules over mental exploration. So your Venus here is you have warmth and understanding for people from different backgrounds. You're open to new ideas and experiences. Chances are good that you will receive some kind of honor in your life. You may possibly be married abroad or marry a foreigner. Good point, high ideals. Bad point, you long for the unattainable. 10th house is your house of career. So Venus, you have an ability to use charm and diplomacy to further your interests. You may be involved in artistic or cultural work or in creating beauty. You are likely to be popular with the public. Good point, partnership, possibly marriage, should enhance career. Bad point, risk of scandal or disappointment through or because of women. Mm-hmm. 11th house, house of hopes and wishes, and also of friends. So Venus here, you're sociable and fond of people and usually have lots of friends. You will likely benefit from your association in both a social and monetary way. You're drawn to marry a friend or someone you meet through a group or association. Good point, a tactful, diplomatic touch with people. Bad point, you are likely to confuse friendship with love. And your 12th house is your house of secrets, sorrows, and self-undoing, which for Venus is emotional and sensitive. You're capable of giving true and selfless love. You're most content when leading a private and secluded life. There is the possibility of a secret love affair. Good point, artistic and creative urges. Bad point, danger for an unhappy marriage or sexual alliance. So those are all your houses and where Venus shows up in each. So yeah, this video, it's actually fairly long. So that is all I've got on Taurus today. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you can find where Taurus shows up in your chart, or you've learned something about a family, friend, or even a little bit about yourself if you fall in that category. And I just want to reiterate again that just because you are a Taurus and these are maybe some traits that you have, it doesn't make up your whole personality. Like you're not just your sun sign. Like your sun sign may be kind of like your self, kind of what you embody, but you're so much more than just your sun sign. So don't get like hyper focused on just one part of your chart, because this is a very small part. It's not a small part of your chart, because obviously your sun sign is like kind of what makes you, but there's so much more to it too, which I've said like 12 times already. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you do like my videos, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff that we beg people to do, because it does help kind of get us moving in the YouTube world. As always, stay happy, be curious, always speak your truth, and I will see you next time for another video. Bye!